Hillary Clinton recently came out against the TPP, kind of, but I'll tell you what she really thinks about it in a minute. Watch this.
The president should listen to and work with his allies in Congress, starting with Nancy Pelosi, who have expressed their concerns about the impact that a weak agreement would have on our workers, to make sure we get the best, strongest deal possible. And if we don't get it, there should be no deal. And there are some specifics in there that could and should be changed. So I am hoping that's what happens now. Let's take the lemons and turn it into lemonade.
You voted yes to the president's trade proposal. It went down to defeat. Mrs. Clinton seemed to blame that on President Obama's negotiating skills. Is she right? Was that the problem?
Well, I think what we have to do is spend some more time talking with members and really going through the details, both of the trade adjustment assistance legislation, which is the legislation that provides assistance to workers who are displaced as the result of trade agreements, and the Trade Promotion Authority, the Fast Track Authority legislation, which is the up or down vote law that delegates Congress's authority to the president to negotiate trade agreements. There are some details that still need to be negotiated and discussed. I think we'll be doing that over the next several days and weeks. And, and hopefully we're going to be able to come to some agreement.
Was it President Obama's fault for not negotiating early with Democrats? Was it President's inability to negotiate with his fellow Democrats that doomed this trade proposal, at least for now?
Carol, the president has been negotiating not only with Democrats but with Republicans as well. He's made, his cabinet officials available. All of us have had an opportunity to go in as members of Congress and review the text of the agreement. We've had classified briefings. We've had briefings in our caucus meetings. There's been a lot of opportunity for members to take a look at this and for members to interact with administration officials and the president himself and ask questions. So we need to do more of that for sure, because this is complex. It's not easy.
So now there's a couple of quotes that I want to get to from Hillary Clinton. Now, first and foremost, she says, quote, "The president should listen to and work with his allies in Congress, starting with Nancy Pelosi, who have expressed their concerns about the impact of a weak agreement would have on our workers, and to make sure that we get the strongest deal possible." She also says, quote, "There are some specifics in there that could and should be changed." Now she also says, quote, "Let's take the lemons and turn them into lemonade." So right off the bat, this is rhetoric that's extremely vague. She's kind of coming out against it, but not really, because presumably if she's elected, then she's going to want to do a similar type of trade deal. She says that we should change some, but we don't really know what that means. One thing that kind of also caught me, not necessarily with respect to Hillary Clinton, is the CNN host there. She didn't necessarily blame the failure of the TPP on any substantive issue. Negotiating had absolutely nothing to do with it. Obama is a very effective negotiator. We saw that with Obamacare. When it comes to the issue of trade, however, it's not because he didn't negotiate effectively. It's because if you look at the bill, whatever we can see so far that is, you'll see that there's really some huge problems in it. I'll just throw a couple out there. First and foremost, it's being done in secret. Furthermore, if this trade deal does pass, it's going to ship countless American jobs overseas. Now, trade isn't necessarily something that's inherently evil. It's something that I think is necessary, but the problem is that this trade deal is bad. Why is it that he's pushing for this, and why is it that the Republicans are pushing for it? Well, the problem is that they're trying to appease their corporate donors. Why would a corporation want this type of trade deal? Well, if we ship American jobs overseas, then we can just hire a company in Malaysia or China, and they could just do it for pennies on the dollar. And maybe even they could just enslave people, as there's actually slaves in Malaysia, which is another point. But I mean, wouldn't it save labor for these corporations if they can ship our jobs overseas? Well, of course it would. That's why they want it. And seeing that corporations bankroll President Obama and a lot of these Republicans' campaigns, well, obviously that's why they're in favor of it. So another problem with it is that it undermines American sovereignty. Corporations can actually sue states over their own domestic laws if it hinders them in any way, if they don't like it. And guess who's setting it up? Well, it's going to be the World Bank who's going to be doing this. So obviously, they're not necessarily the most objective international entity. So this is very, very problematic. Another problem with the trade deal is who's included in it. If you look at our business partners, well, they're going to be Brunei, which recently implemented Sharia law, and also Malaysia, as I mentioned, who is actually guilty of slavery. Now, when it comes to Hillary Clinton's stance and why she thinks there's some things that we should change, well, you'll see that that's not really the case. CNN did a really great story where they pulled up 45 instances where she actually pushed the TPP. I'll have a couple quotes for you right here. So, first of all, she says, quote, "We are making progress toward finalizing a far-reaching new trade agreement called the Transpacific Partnership. The so-called TPP will lower barriers, raise standards, and drive long-term growth across the region. It will cover 40% of the world's total trade and establish strong protections for workers and the environment." Yeah, right. "Better jobs with higher wages and safer working conditions, including women, migrant workers, and others too often in the past excluded from the formal economy, will help build Asia's middle class and rebalance the economy, or the global economy." No, that's not true at all, because corporations who are pushing this, they have a fiduciary responsibility to increase shareholder value. So if overthrowing these environmental regulations are going to be a burden to them, then yeah, they're going to do it and they're going to try to sue. That's why they're pushing it so hard. Another quote from her, she says, "Over time, we hope to deliver a groundbreaking agreement that connects countries as diverse as Peru and Vietnam with America and Australia to create a new free trade zone that can galvanize commerce, competition, and growth across the entire Pacific region." So this, along with the 43 other instances where she pushed for the TPP, really illustrate that Hillary Clinton, she's not taking a principled stand on this. It probably took weeks and weeks and weeks for her campaign crew to come up with a response to this. And it's just pathetic. It's really, really pathetic because she can't actually tell us what she really feels. I know that she really is in favor of it, but she's not going to tell us that. She's going to kind of, I'm going to hedge a little. I'm going to say, sure, I'm for it a little bit. I'm against it. Some could be changed, but I'm not going to tell you what. It's just a typical politician move, and it's the reason why I really think that Hillary Clinton comes off as disingenuous.